once and for all that these people are fucking idiots.
Johnny, a lot of people out there are struggling to pay their bloody basic bills. Oh, people paying their bills, Johnny, oh, it's bloody hard, I can tell you.
More Australians are turning on the heaters with winter approaching. There are warnings power bills are only going one way.
Surveyed low-income households, that's those in the bottom 40%. It found 4.6 million are behind on at least one bill. In 7 months, personal borrowing has more than doubled, and 1.3 million households have used credit to cover essentials such as food.
No one has counted how many Americans are currently living like this. But during the month we spent inside the American crisis, we met hundreds.
But Johnny, I want you to come back with me, back in time to the 60s, black and white TV and all that sort of shit when we were on the farm. Yeah, I remember our old man. He used to pay his bills on the farm every month, and one time I saw him moaning and groaning about the price of this and the price of that. Oh, the old man, yeah. And in my 8-year-old bloody way, I said, Dad, well, why do you pay it then? And he said, well, you got to pay your bills. And I said, but if it's too dear, can't you say that it's too dear and you don't want to pay that? And he said, no, you can't do that because you'll be in all sorts of trouble. It's no bloody... And I said, what sort of trouble? And he said, well, you could have the police come around, you could go to court and all that sort of stuff. And then I thought for a moment and I said, but Dad, what if a whole lot of people decided it was all too expensive? What would happen then? He said, oh, you'd still be in trouble, they'd do this and do that. And then I said, but Dad, what if 10,000 people decided not to pay it? And he looked at me and he said, well, that'd be bloody anarchy then. Now, I've often thought of that little conversation, Johnny, way back then in those bloody, in those black and white days. And of late, I've been thinking about it a bit more. Or Johnny, you're going out on a limb there. I mean, if you don't pay your bills, if everybody got together and showed a little bit more guts, they could bloody work something out and say, no, all this energy's too expensive. We're not paying it anymore. We're not taking it in. We're not taking it anymore, as in that film.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Things have got to change.
And say, this is too fucking dear.
The Air Force is standing by with an atom bomb.
Now, this little bloke in England, Johnny, this is little Neil Oliver. He's been on it. He's been on this sort of stuff for years now, and he was talking about this very subject.
Working night and day to have us welcome a state of being that is nothing less than digital enslavement. Many of the people who contact me ask, what should we do? How can we fight back? I think about the answers to those questions all the time. Right now, I wonder what would happen if those who are cold in their homes, millions of people, just turned on their heating and turned off their direct debits and standing orders. What would happen if, when the bills came, we all just agreed to toss them in the fire, all of us together?
Jesus Christ!
What would happen if millions of us, peacefully acting as one, just stood together in quiet defiance? I could be wrong, but I don't think there's enough cells in the prisons, enough judges to hear the cases. If the system wasn't already broken by them, such actions would break it. What would happen if we all withdrew our money from the banks on the same day? What would happen if we all asked, as we're entitled to, for the cash?
Well, that'd be a run on the banks, Johnny. The biggest fear of any bank is a run on the banks where all the people actually want their money.
The banks don't have the money to meet all those demands, and so presumably they would close their doors. Then what? Would their inability to pay out all that cash be evidence of the fraud that is fiat money? I wonder.
Well, yeah, I suppose you have got the right to not pay for something if you don't think it's bloody worth it. So in essence, Johnny, we've been waffling on about this for bloody weeks here in the Ask Johnny channel. What we're saying is that people are just too good-mannered, too nice and compliant, and just do whatever the government says without bloody any resistance at all, because that's the best thing to do, just as my old man said in 1967. mean, you get bloody 3 meals a day, all your medical care and a roof over your head and a good bed and everything if you're in jail. Jail? Yeah, jail. Yeah, the people in jail, Johnny, seem to be getting more care and looked after better than the fucking people out in the suburbs.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Now, this could be construed as inciting bloody anarchy, Johnny, but I don't give a rat's ass. It's insurrection. That's what you're bloody proposing, you bloody communist, because something's got to be bloody done. So individually, Johnny, you got fuck all chance of doing it because the cops will come round, blah, 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 and all that sort of shit. We all know that. The bills will go up and there'll be extra payments and all that sort of stuff. But if everybody did it, Johnny, the population is so bloody conditioned to not bloody rock the boat and do things, because if they don't pay, we'll throw the fucking book at them. That'll scare them into paying.
And they have been the entire time.
Tell us why you think that not paying your bills is the right approach. There are warnings around, aren't there, that if you don't pay your bills, that debt will follow you around. I mean, there's a risk of legal action. There's a risk of not being able to borrow money in future that will affect your credit rating.
The old mainstream media really getting behind the campaign. You know, I mean, you could do Don't Pay UK, but I mean, it won't look good on the old credit scores, will you? That bad debt's going to follow you around like a stinky old fart.
That will affect your credit rating. Is this the right approach?
You really are. Look at her face. You don't want. Just pay your bill. Just shut up. Just wait for the grave. Just let them get on with it. And when I say them, I mean us, because we're the mainstream media.
Do you not risk penalising yourself as much as the energy companies?
That is a great point, but you know what? I think there's a lot of fear-mongering around this.
Yeah, you just did some.
People simply can't afford it. My mum doesn't have that money coming in, so it's a matter of her not paying now or, well, getting into debt over the winter anyway, so...
Gonna get in debt anyway. They're gonna squeeze this till it affects absolutely everyone, except for the rarefied elites that already dominate.
But Johnny, surely the energy producers, they're not making bloody big profits off this. They're helping out, aren't they? The energy companies, Johnny, they're making a bloody fortune. Yeah, a fortune.
Whenever you think the system ain't working, think, who is the system working for? Are there people benefiting? Oh yeah, it turns out energy companies making $170 billion of profit in the next 2 years. Oh.
What?
Oh, so it is working if you're them.
It absolutely makes no difference for her when she gets into debt with the energy company.
Oh no, I'll be in debt a bit earlier.
We're asking 1 million people to sign this pledge on the don'tpay.uk website. We all deserve to have a warm home this winter, you know.
This sort of thing is going to happen.
So, finally some good news. There's something, at least in the UK, that we can do about it, and I urge you, folks elsewhere, to set up your own comparable organisations to oppose this kind of corruption. Don't Pay UK.
But governments aren't going to put up with that forever, Johnny. They'll see what's going to happen and they'll say, we can't put up with it, because if people start doing this all around the place, it's going to fuck things up completely. So they'll probably make it a crime to incite this sort of bloody civil disobedience, Johnny. Yeah, you and I, we won't be able to even discuss this on YouTube. Let's fucking get out of here. Like COVID. Really? Yeah, we got banned the other day, as our viewers know. You know, jail doesn't sound too bloody bad now you mention it, Johnny.
President Joe Biden celebrated his 80th birthday yesterday in typical fashion, wondering where the hell he is.